Hey, Terry.
Good Friday.
If you could invent a thing and then patent it, but it's not something that you would want to keep secret from the world, what would it be? I'm saying that you're not going to patent this. So it can't be a real idea that you've got in your mind kicking around like, oh man, I really need to patent this new microphone that automatically filters out snorts. Like it can't be a thing that you've got ready to go. But if there was like a next tier of idea, like, man, somebody should patent this. What do you got?
Very, very interesting that you ask me that.
Oh man, you
Um,
have one.
I do. And there's one, and I know we're going to do a patent segment, but so most of industrial network data packets are packets, right? And
Yeah.
there's a leading bit and a trailing bit, and devices on that network are identified by that. What if and if a hacker can get the leading bit and the encoding and decode, the first bit and the last bit, they can get that packet as well, so or be move through the network undetected. What if you could orient network traffic in a specific direction, and the sender and receiver would both know what direction each packet was oriented in? Um, and I know this sounds crazy because packets are not physical things, but what if you could orient or keep data packets in a certain way so that, and it's like encryption kind of, but I'm thinking directionally.
So make the packet a QR code instead of a packet.
Make it uh, right keyed, and then the
Mm.
next packet is left keyed, and then the packet after that is down keyed. Like
Since it's
if you
conceptual, it can be as many directions as we want.
100%. Yeah.
Well, it's not often that I say to myself, man, I wish I had 100,000 views per video, but this is one because I feel like the types of comments we would get
Oh
explaining
God.
why explaining why this is good,
Dumb.
bad, or
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know how to get the attention of a room full of I'll just say intelligent or knowledgeable nerds? Just say something wrong.
I love to get, especially if you like have your teeth and you're, presentable. They love to correct.
Yeah,
They love
actually,
to correct. Yeah. That's not quite right. Yeah, no, that's for sure the case. That's what we talked about,
we
you
did.
know, presenting and being heckled from those types.
There's no hecklers to a patent. This may be a fundamental flaw in patent logic. Is the collective wisdom or stupidity or inclination towards correcting something? I don't think it gets brought to bear. Like the patent goes before an examiner, and there's less collective action on a patent in the reviewing process than maybe there could be. So maybe we should be patenting a new way to do patents. You asked me to search patents, and I did, and I got to tell you, I found some weird stuff.
I love it. You know what, I decided today when I was last night and today when I was looking for the patents for this segment.
No, what did
This
you decide?
podcast could be just going through patents and having people come on to talk about them, and I would be in heaven.
Yeah, I think we should come. I think we should come back to that idea. Maybe
Yeah,
you just
like
found out what the podcast is about, Terry.
patent, but
Live on air, you've discovered what the purpose of the podcast is.
it's just, I love thinking about why. Why did they do this? What's this mean? How does this make it out? Like, how is this not subject to being? How did this get patented? And I think having patent attorneys and SMEs in the space would be really, really fun.
Do you ever feel like you're intimidated by the amount of available learning that exists right at your fingertips if only you had the time and the inclination?
It It drives me crazy, Russ. It drives me insane. Few things, I don't get pulled to the fringe. We know this. I'm not going to belabor that point, but few things sort of irk me as much as there's so much out there that I'll never get to appreciate or never get to just know. Come in contact with. I don't need to be an expert on it, but just come in contact with it. It drives me insane. Languages, cultures, foods, you name it.
I went to Google Patents, and then I narrowed it to the United States and just searched by new, and that was it. That's what
Same
I
here.
got to. And then, so I'm not sure if we got the same results, but
We didn't.
I didn't know what an endoluminal punch was.
Oh, Lord.
Did you?
No.
No,
But you could say whatever you want to say from here
you wouldn't
on.
believe it.
And no, I just go along with it.
Well, okay, so here were the clues that I had in front of my face, and I don't. I think these are clues that almost anybody could have picked up on. I mean, it helps to be somewhat well read. It helps to be having spent time doing patent searches before. It helps to be familiar with a Google search, and it helps to just have spent time with information you're not familiar with, trying to figure out how you navigate information you don't know. That all being said, I think anybody could have gotten here. The I'm looking at the patent is the second result for me, and it was steerable endoluminal punch. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. The
Hit a
description,
hit a number in case someone wants to
yeah.
hit.
This is US 118445448B1. And the patent holder is Indian Wells Medical. So I'm like, okay, endo. I know what an endoscope is, sort of. I mean, it's a thing that you shove in somebody with a camera to do surgery with a small hole. And so I go through. I read the stuff about the patent. Punch me in this case means like you're poking a hole in something because there's a needle. Okay, I'm with you. There's a needle and then a tube thing, and then I end up finding out what endoluminal surgery is from some short little video from the Cleveland Clinic. Okay, well, I mean, before this exercise, I didn't know what endoluminal surgery was, and then after this exercise, for the sake of the one thing that was most confusing or unknown to me, I'm like, now I know that we can jam a thing down your throat and, operate on tumors in your belly or whatever. And, that's a gross oversimplification. Like, that's a super gross oversimplification here. But, you know, what else am I not learning while I'm just, I don't know, like I took a power nap. What was I not learning while I took a power nap?
Well, you have to take the power nap to learn, though.
No, a 24/7, 365. I go ham. I never stop. Rise and grind, Terry. There's no time
Yeah,
to take a break.
you and Goggins.
What
Give
did you
me.
find?
Uh, by the way, like I'm super curious in what you just mentioned. I want to know more. I think
Well,
we need to.
I don't know anymore. This is
Well,
the
I know
thing.
you don't. I know you
That's what's
don't.
crazy about this is I now have incrementally more knowledge about endoluminal needles than you, and I've just told you everything I know. You know what I'm saying? And then that's
Okay,
it.
so
You got it all.
this would be the type of thing, thinking out loud for
Hmm.
our two people to hear. This would be the type of thing that Tim, who's an awesome guy, who'll be on in a couple weeks. He's a surgeon. This would be the type of thing we have a patent day with Tim where we talk about medical patents and have him
Yeah.
explain these things to us. I'm sure he's used the endoluminal tube tumor in the belly
Maybe the
thingy.
patent was only granted in 2023, so maybe not.
Well, it's cousin, its
What's on your
predecessor.
list? I want to know what you found.
Okay, so what do I start with? I won't start with the thing that's closely related to what I talked about. Um, this is boring, but I like it. I have two Apple patents, and both of them this year, both of them granted this year.
Hmm.
This is a voice trigger for a digital assistant.
Meaning
And
how to make the thing turn on.
yeah, which to me has implications for the thing itself, but broader implications. My mind goes to, was this part of a defense contract?
Hmm.
Like, is this A lot of governments around the world might be interested in this sort of thing. Um, so it's basically a method for operating a voice trigger. The method is performed at an electronic device, including one or more processors and memory storing instructions for execution by the one or more processors. So how the trigger is stored, how the data is, how your voice is stored, has a couple of different processors involved. I will give the patent number. It's US 11862-186B2. See, this would be fun to go through, Google patent. Is this not one of the coolest things we have in tech, by the way?
I
I
have to
mean,
ask. I'm wondering. It's a case where Google search normally is supporting ads. It's both supporting ads and supported by ads, and I'm like, why does this exist? What is the angle here, other than to scrape a bunch of stuff together? And like, there must be an advertising angle because it's Google backed.
yeah. Um, I think, who knows? Maybe this is all just altruism at its finest. It's tech
What was the
altruism
what
at
was
its
the
finest.
best title you found in your list?
Method for treating anxiety disorders, headache disorders, and eating disorders with psilocybin.
Yeah, that's mushrooms, right?
Yeah,
Or it's the active ingredient in
yeah.
what do they call them? Magic mushrooms.
I mean,
Some,
that's like the
uh,
Kmart 1970s version of mushrooms,
what do they
magic
call them now?
mushrooms.
Just shrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms.
My friends don't do shrooms, so I don't know. I don't know what to call them. The names of the patent titles that I really enjoyed. I'm gonna go with a different direction. The whole patent, attachment clamp. That's the name. Attachment clamp.
So how did that make it through? That's what I want to
Wait, there's
know.
more.
Okay.
Mask system. Okay. Last one. Wearable computing device. I'm like, I mean, the descriptions are clear. It's just, I, I am so far from product design and development where I would be in a space where patents are part of the workflow and the culture. The stuff I work on is sometimes novel and hasn't been invented before. But in most cases, it's either not patentable in the first place, or it's something that there's not a strong incentive for a party to patent. Most of the time, because the stuff I've been working on historically, there's a huge network effect. So if you're going to patent it and then not, and then license it, um, at cost, having that patent and charging a cost for it immediately reduces your network effect because fewer people use it. So as soon as you start charging, certainly if you charge a lot for it, you will not be able to have that thing be successful because you're charging a bunch of money for it. So it becomes pointless to patent, because patenting it so that other people don't invent the thing so that you can't use the thing, it breaks the whole model. Instead, if I invent this thing that depends on hundreds of factories using it for it to be useful, and then you invent another version of it that's a slight alternative and loads of people use it, well, okay, you just achieved my goal, which was have a bunch of people use this thing, because the business outcome was the primary interest, not so much the method. The method was basically a means to an end, and having somebody else swoop in and do the same thing, that's more labor going to solve the problem, not not less labor. So it's like patenting a, I don't know, a Mars rover, but something that's even more ambitiously difficult than a Mars rover, when the path forward may be for all of humanity to be working on Mars rover, or like the Jupiter, I don't know, freaking gas satellite or something.
Well, I think it's the interesting point. I think it's really, really rare. How many, 125,048 of these granted, or pages of them. So probably more than that.
Yeah, 10 times that.
How many of these things matter?
I mean, okay, so a television mounting system. This is US 118.492.46B1, to the Manahu Product Alliance LLC. This is how you would mount a flat panel TV to a wall. the diagrams look like the instructions for a flat panel TV mount. I will be doing some screen mounting in the foreseeable future to rearrange some stuff in my office. And I'm like, I cannot distinguish the exact orientation and thickness of the splines on this new patented device versus the orientation and thickness uh, and exact hole location of some other device. To me, it's all just like a thing that hangs on the wall. And if the TV falls off the wall, then it doesn't work. If the TV doesn't fall off the wall, then it works. But it's spending time and energy on making a cheaper, better, faster, stronger way to stick an increasingly large TV to the wall. I mean, you got to incentivize somebody to spend the effort on that, and incentivizing beyond just the individual sales incentive to actually giving them some market power with the patent protection. It makes sense to me, even though as I look at this device, I'm like, who cares? Why bother? It's just a TV mount, which is very offensive to the Manahu Product Alliance LLC, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, but I just had this discussion this morning in application, by the way, about the protecting of the thing is not the protecting of the thing. It's doing this thing first and right. And how much of patent work is wasted time? I like to think about that versus how much of it is novel technology that's protected. I think maybe in certain spaces, in certain sectors, like in the pharmaceutical sector, there's something to protecting the patent. Obviously, there is, and I'm starting to wander into legal lands that I have no clue, how it works and that sort of thing. But I just think there are how many hundreds of thousands or millions of patents are over there just in the last 5-10 years? How many of them matter?
I mean, I'll put my rosy glasses on towards the past. It's
Your rosy glasses or
my rose colored glasses to look backwards. I have this imagined post war history of the patent office and the space race. As this is a time when innovation was peaking, and you had garage inventors, and you had lab inventors, and you had the jet age was beginning, and all of these what feels like big leap technologies, and then they all kind of go hand in hand with, well, intellectual property is generated out of these things, and we want to incentivize intellectual property, and I have no hard evidence, but it feels like that's what in my imagination the golden age of intellectual property rights and IP law and the patent system. It feels like that was the golden age, and that now we have software and processes and network things, and like this stuff, it doesn't apply in the same way as a better mousetrap or a better jet engine. And I don't, maybe that's not true. Maybe it still does apply. We still do have better IP protection and a more effective IP regime than most other developed nations. So great. But man,
I
I don't feel like I'm living in the golden age as I look through these lists, and I'm like, what even is, where am I? What am I doing? How fundamental is this to my life? I can find you some IP attorneys though, who might set us both real straight, real fast,
oh, I'm sure.
or at least leave us baffled before the conversation is over.
Well, no one can explain something better than one trying to defend his or her profession. So I'm sure they'd set us straight fast. I'll say,
I need a retired patent attorney.
yeah, I will say this. It sounds like after hearing your bit just then that you've come around to my notion that there is nothing more valuable in inventions and invention history than the coal-fired power plant.
Well, yeah, I would say that I'm definitely listing that direction. You take coal, you turn it into electricity. I mean, there's a good way to do that. There's a bad way to do that. The patent makes a better way. It uses less coal per each unit of electricity coming out. This is science, man, and this is applied science. That's what it looks like. I went to the American Museum of Science and Energy, and it was very nuclear power focused, but coal made it in there as well.
Should be.
But
Should be.
I feel like nuclear power pretty pretty going to give coal-fired power plants a run for their money too.
I
Please defend your honor.
no, I think they should. I think they should. I think all I'll say about, because for whatever reason, I think it's the 60s, the hippie 60s, um, nuclear has taken it on the chin, and maybe the old technology should have. But I think all that needs to be said about nuclear is that Microsoft has hired nuclear engineers to build micro reactors for their data centers. And I
Yeah.
think that's all you need to hear.
Can you
And anybody who stands in the way of that is anti-science and anti-progress for
can
any reason.
can I give you a challenge question here?
Uh-oh. Yes.
It's real. This is related to human progress and culture more than it is to patents directly. But how would you explain to an elementary schooler science fiction?
Booger eater.
What? You're just gonna gloss over the question, sass them back, and be like, "How
Yeah.
dare you ask me?
Yeah.
How dare you expect me to pass on knowledge to you?"
Yeah. I think science fiction is
Remember your audience, Terry. I see you staring off into space. You have to explain this to like an 8-year-old.
science fiction is an imagination illustrating what could possibly happen in the future. And in some cases, it actually does. And in some cases, it's just whimsy.
You know what
But
I'm going to give you? Stop there, because otherwise your grade might get worse. You know what grade I'm going to give you for that?
it better be an A plus.
I give you an A minus,
Why the minus?
because
Because I wanted to go harder.
you're gonna get a follow up question. What is whimsy?
Oh, yeah.
And that question will be harder to explain than science fiction was.
Okay. What is whimsy?
But you get the A for not using science or fiction
Yeah.
in the name. This is what hung me up. I'm like, how do I explain this without using the word science?
It's imagination.
Oh,
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes coupled to reality, sometimes harbinger for reality, but they're done right. It should be coupled. And a lot of times I've read little nuggets here and there, and I don't know the authors or the pieces, but where a good science fiction writer is not in skill set drastically different than a journalist, in that they are sourcing things and sourcing things and sort of, it's not just speculation.
Right.
It's based in some truth, and that's
So
true for Hollywood too.
I don't think I would say speculation in the explanation to a small
No,
child. Now, if an elementary schooler comes back to me and says, "Mr. Russ, what's speculative science fiction?" Now I've got a whole different can of worms, because now I'm just gonna clap back and be like, "Where'd you learn that word?
yeah,
Where'd that come from?"
yeah, yeah. Poor kids, probably traumatized from bathroom beatings, but
Can
yeah,
can you do a homework assignment related to these patents? I want this one to spill over, but I need you to put some time and thought into it. I refuse to accept an answer now.
yes,
I want you to come back to me from the existing patent search that you just did, or from a new patent search. Doesn't matter, either one. And I want you to bring me the most science fiction patent that you could find.
I just did.
I'm sorry, which one? It was so boring.
Method for treating anxiety disorders, headache disorders, and eating disorders with psilocybin.
What happens? How does the rest of that science fiction pan out? Because to me, that's a one sentence story. We give the anxious mushrooms, and then it's like you open. It's a hardcover book. It's embossed. You open the book. The first chapter is just says chapter 1. It's one sentence. It says, "We give the anxious mushrooms," and then it's 250 blank pages, and you close the book. Boom. There's your science fiction.
We give the anxious mushrooms. I mean, yeah, I like the brevity. I'd buy the book.
Are you refusing this exercise
I'll do it.
because you don't like homework, or because you think you have the best answer ever already given?
No, I don't have the best answer. I was trying to avoid the duty, but I also like to be task specific on something,
Set
so
a
I'll
set a
do it.
5 minute timer, and like you need to spend 1 minute like looking through the patents, and then 4 minutes imagining the rest of the story of how how this fits science fiction.
Can I? I want to go through one more
Yeah, yeah,
of the
yeah.
patents.
This is our last one. Do this one and wrap us up.
Electronic devices with sidewall displays. This is an Apple patent, US 11662869B2. And it looks like an iPhone where the sides flip down and they're displays. E-
Dang.
Edge displays may alternately function as virtual buttons, virtual switches, or informational displays that are supplemental to front side displays. Virtual buttons may include transparent button members, lenses, haptic feedback components, audio feedback components, or other components for providing feedback to a user when virtual buttons are activated.
I love that. It's the perfect blend of software, design, interaction. The technology isn't necessarily new per se, but it could be. Could be a miniaturization question. That's a great one.
Oh, here's what's cool about it is they may be moving away from the traditional like LCD focused display, and that you've got this plastic or sort of modular device where a side is a display, another side is a keyboard. It's a Rubik's cube type of apparatus, but with sides that are functional sides.
I will tell you right now that since the beginning of the, say, BlackBerry-esque smartphone form factor, the rear pockets of my pants got a lot more use. It used to be that's your wallet pocket. I didn't put anything else in there. There's not even any reason to have two, except for right-handers and left-handers. I'm only one-handed, so really I could have taken all the left pockets off of all my pants. But then phones came along, and now when not sitting, perfect place for my phone is in the back pocket.
I am a wallet in the front pocket guy.
Disgraceful. I can't. How I can't.
You got to keep the pickpockets. I need to feel this if someone's going for my valuables, I need to feel it.
This no longer sounds like this no
Well,
longer sounds like a wallet.
yeah, it is a wallet. Yeah, I do see the double entendre there with that statement. No,
Terry,
I do not use my back pocket. Once in a while for my phone, I do, but I don't use it for a wallet.
take
Heavy
care. I
heavy
need you to
information.
your homework. 2 pieces of homework. Take care of your valuables. Find me some science fiction.
Until next time.
Bye, Terry.